It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Friday, January 27th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this wonderful Friday? The weekend is here, and we've got current news from around the world, the word study about the Wednesday message, and Do It Until the End segment on mental health with Daniel Baker from Korea. All right, how are you guys doing today? It is Friday. Yes, it is the weekend, and I'm sure all of you are getting ready to enjoy another amazing time. So I hope you guys are looking forward to some fun, relaxation, realizations, new direction through the Sunday message. So let's get things kicked off here together on the Morning Star Drive. So keep liking and commenting. If you're on your phone right now, on your laptop, click that like button, whether it's on SoundCloud or YouTube. This is not about the algorithm. This is just communication between you and me, knowing that you guys are enjoying this, right? And I want to hear from you guys and see how you're doing. Post your song requests, questions, stories, comment, all the things that you'd like to talk about. I want to listen to everything, all right? So today's my last day in Bali. I'll be heading back to Malaysia. By the time you hear this, I'll already be back in Malaysia. Last day in Bali, so thankful to be able to come here on vacation with my parents. And then 6 days in Malaysia before my parents leave on February 1st. So hopefully going to have an even more relaxing and amazing time in Malaysia. You know, I had a mother-son facial, in Bali just like a couple days ago. And, we're just getting the regular facial and stuff. But then they're asking, do you want extraction? I'm like, what does that mean? And well, I know what it is. It's like removal of blackheads and whiteheads. And I'm like, I've had that before, and it's so painful. And this person's like, well, it's only a little bit of pain. It's not going to be a lot. We're not going to use this metal equipment. We're going to use, we're going to use our hands, right? Of course, with gloves on, right? But I'm like, man, are you sure it doesn't hurt? It's like, it's going to hurt a little bit. I was like, all right. So, I got the extraction done, and it wasn't as painful as I thought it was, but it was still painful. And I thought to myself, man, just to make my face clean, I got to go through the pain to get rid of the gunk and just really be clean. And, I thought to myself, too, you know what? This pain wasn't that bad. It's not that bad, but it's kind of like what repentance is, right? You kind of put an extra effort. You got to go through a little bit more to get that full repentance, that cleanliness in. And I hope it's something that all of us understand is the pain that we go through for repentance, and just to go through that sincere repentance of what we went through and realizing what we did is so much easier and better than what's going to happen in the future if we don't get rid of it, right? And I hope it's something that this little bit of pain is something that we can all go through, whether it's an inconvenience or spending more time or just realizing about our sin. We need to go through this in order for us to be clean, and we need to realize the sin that we have and be sincere about it, especially this year in 2023, right? Yesterday night also, it was so awesome. You guys saw him on my Instagram, PSky8. If you haven't seen my Instagram, I'm posting everything about all the things I'm going through with my parents. And yesterday night, we watched some cultural Balinese dance. It was like a traditional dance, contemporary dance, and then a fire dance, which was really cool. And I was just so thankful to God the way that it came about. Now, how did it come about? Me and my parents were waiting to check in, so we're just walking around the hotel, and just randomly some worker says, hey, are you, did you just check in? It's like, yeah, we just checked in. It's like, oh, so cool. It's such a, he said, your timing is so perfect. And we're like, why? He's like, only once a week we have a Balinese buffet and dance, right? And it's like, and tonight's the night, and it only happens once a week. It's all Balinese food, buffet style, and that's where we have a whole pig that's skewered, right? They're doing this big barbecue pig that's done for 4 hours, and there's shows showing Balinese dance, and we're like, oh wow, and we just booked it. It was packed, right? We booked it early, probably one of the first people. We had the best seats in the house, right at the front, in the center. And it was like God really pulled through for us. And my parents were able to enjoy some culture, some Balinese food, Balinese dance and stuff, and entertainment. So I was really thankful for that because, sometimes in my head, I'm like, oh, what are we going to do tonight? But my parents were just really, really happy. So that's something that another thing that it just shows that how much God is really thinking about my situation. Even though there's so much craziness going on, God is still, wanting the best for us. And he just really, really, really provided. And I'm so thankful for this too. And, I am thankful to be going back home. Well, Malaysia, which is like a second home to me. And it's not really my home, but second home. But my parents being with me is like being at home. And Malaysia is a second home, so I'm kind of going home. But just good to be back in my bed. Well, actually, it's not even my bed. It's an Airbnb. So, let's just say the feeling is more like home, right? So I'm gonna be back for another week and then probably stay for an extra month in Malaysia before I head on to my next destination. My parents go back on February 1st, and then I go back to my regular life, right? Regular life, yeah. I'm back from vacation. I don't know about you guys. Comment on this, guys, if you guys have been able to sleep well the past several weeks. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but it just feels like my spirit is not settled. I talked to another member too. They were saying the exact same thing. They couldn't really sleep well. We know that Sunsteam's trial is on February 13th. Not the 16th, it's the 13th. And then, of course, on top of that, there's rumors, gossips, accusations, stuff, like different stuff going around. A lot of people shaking in faith or maybe getting close to it or shaking their faith in this history. So it's really unsettling and confusing times. But for me, I think it's something that we have to. I think me not being able to sleep and some other people I've talked to who are just having a little bit of trouble, I think it's more of a spiritual thing, personally speaking. Just thinking like, it's like this spiritual Armageddon. We got to get through this together. And I really hope that prayer will be I'm not sure what the right way, like the thing that calms our nerves, that we'll always be sticking to prayer. And that's going to be the number one thing that we need, right? Word study today on the Wednesday message. I wanted to go over some things about 2023 and some things to remind ourselves about this year and what we really need to do together. And I'm really, really grateful and thankful for everyone that is that has been sticking with this Morning Star Drive. We're going to be hitting year 3 next month. March 16th will be year 3 for the Morning Star Drive, so I'm going to be super happy about that. By the way, our channel is at 991 subs, which is amazing, and just 9 more to go to hit 1,000. So hopefully we want to start making a new format for the channel, but want to wait until it hits about 1,000, right? I was thinking to myself, I'm on vacation, and 1 week later, I'll be getting back. So, I'm going to put a poll up for next week on how long does it take for you to get back into your spiritual groove after vacation? Because, I know a lot of people in the Asian countries are getting back from Chinese New Year, from going back home. How long does it usually take? I'm going to use that for the poll for next week's question, so look forward to that one there. All right? So let's get into some music from some member artists from around the world on this amazing and awesome Friday. So we're going to start off with our featured artist, which is AG from Japan. Takes Providence music, makes it into EDM, house, and trance mixes, and we're going to listen to a song called Love is Eternal. After that, we have PGY from the Paper Music Associates in Korea with Dr. Rain, and we'll end things off with Youngse from South Africa with I Call You.
hear some words, but I don't get it. Why is she just kissing my rusty eye? I feel dizzy, doctor. Do you hear me? Where are you? It's bright. Where am I now? Is it heaven? Mr. Cloud, me. Nothing looks changed, but well, I feel better, thanks.
Know how much strength I have left, so I call on your name. And oh, when I see the day coming at me, and I'm shaking inside of me, I know you're with me, so it's all gonna be alright. Yeah, alright. Oh, my Lord, be next to me. I need you here. I just can't live without you. It's true, yeah. Because you are the love of my life. You are the truth. You are the way. You are the life. Oh, 'cause Lord, you are the name that I call when I feel afraid and lonely. I only call you. Yeah.
And that was I Call You. That's from Youngse in South Africa. Another great song that she has made. She's producing some really, really good stuff right now. And I think this genre really fits her well. I really like this, the style, more jazzy and smooth. And her voice just suits it so perfectly. Before that was Dr. Rain from PGY from PMA in Korea. And of course, AG from Japan with Love is Eternal. All right, so let's get into some news going on around the world. And of course, it's very, very important for us, especially as the brides of this history. We have the responsibility to pray for everyone. And I really hope that we can listen to it and find the topics we need to pray to God about, right? And repent about too. So let's go back to California, and another shooting has happened at Half Moon Bay. Mass shooting, likely case of workplace violence, and this comes from the police. There's a mass shooting at a farm and a nearby site in California, which killed 7 people, and it was probably a case of workplace violence, said the police. The attack took place on Tuesday in the coastal city of Half Moon Bay. Some of the victims were Chinese American. Suspect Chun-Li Zhao, 66, was arrested after driving to a police station. The incident took place only 2 days after 11 were shot in Monterey Park, southeast of Half Moon Bay, during Lunar New Year celebrations. The back-to-back shootings came so close together that California's Governor Gavin Newsom was meeting victims of the first attack in a hospital when he was briefed about the second attack. He voiced exasperation over U.S. gun laws and in emotional remarks at a news conference said he had grown weary of having to say the same things we hear again and again in the wake of mass shootings. The Half Moon Bay suspect used a legally purchased semi-automatic handgun police say, and is believed to have acted alone. He was a resident of the city, which lies to the south of San Francisco, and employed at the Mountain Mushroom Farm, police have said. The San Francisco Chronicle reported that a former co-worker had previously been given a restraining order against Zhao over violent behavior. Officials have not yet released the names of the 5 men and 2 women who were shot dead. Some were Asian while others were Hispanic. All of them were agricultural workers, Half Moon Bay Mayor Deborah Penrose told CNN on Tuesday. 4 of the victims were discovered at a mushroom farm, while the other 3 were later found at a nearby trucking business. An 8th victim, who was transported to hospital, is out of surgery and in stable condition. After carrying out the killings, the suspect drove to a local police station where his arrest was caught on camera. And just hours after the Half Moon Bay attack, 7 people were injured and 1 person was killed in a shooting in Oakland, about 64 kilometers northeast of Half Moon Bay. President Biden has urged the U.S. Congress to act quickly to ban assault weapons, saying the scourge of gun violence required stronger action. So, this is something where we're looking at and say, oh my gosh, what the heck is happening here? And I do want to give to you some of the stats in America on gun violence and just kind of give you what is like the context of what is going on. So, the stats on gun violence in the U.S., more Americans died of gun-related injuries in 2020 than in any other year on record, according to recently published statistics from the CDC and Prevention. Right, and that included a record number of gun murders, as well as a near record number of gun suicides. Despite the increase in such fatalities, the rate of gun deaths, a statistic that accounts for the nation's growing population, remains below the levels of earlier years. So, even though the number is growing, because the population is growing too, the rate at which people are dying from gun deaths is actually lower than the past, right? So there's one thing you have to keep in mind. It's not like an ever-growing. The number is going up, but the rate of gun deaths is lower than earlier years. So in 2020, the most recent year for which complete data is available, 45,222 people died from gun-related injuries in the U.S., right? 45,222. So that's a lot, right? And the figures include gun murders, gun suicides, along with 3 others, which is very, very less common, which is like unintentional or law enforcement and those types of circumstances that can't be determined. And the total excludes deaths in which gunshot injuries played a contributing but not principal role, okay? So what percent, like the biggest percentage by far is suicides at 54%. So when you look at gun violence, the biggest one by far is someone on themselves, suicide, 54%. Second is murder at 43%, and then 3% is that very small number of others, okay? So nearly 8 in 10 U.S. murders in the U.S. in 2020 involved a firearm, right? So 79% of murders in 2020 in the U.S. involves a firearm. Okay, so there's one, and if you want to know how high the U.S. is ranked in the world in gun fatality rates in the year 2020, it's not top 10, it's not even top 15. They are ranked 20th in the world in gun fatality rates that year. Okay, but when it comes to just like countries that are developed, they are one of the highest. But in the whole world, their gun fatality is ranked 20th. Okay, so it's a lot higher than you think, like lower than you think. Like, oh, I thought we'd be like top 5, but we're not. And how many people are killed in mass shootings in the U.S. every year? It's actually only 513. So think about this. There's, 45,222 gun deaths. Okay, and of course, 24,500. Oh, sorry. That's out of 45,222 people. How many people are killed in mass shootings? It's only 513, right? So if you look at that, it's such a small number, right? It's such a small number of people in mass shootings, but you can see how the media plays it, where mass shootings seem like it's happening all the time. But only 513 out of 45,222. And of course, of the 45,222, you can't do mass shootings when it comes to suicides. Take out 54% of that, right? So 54% of 45,000 means that you're going to have about 20,000 people, right? Little less than 20,000 people. Of the 20,000 people, only 513 died in mass shootings, okay? And then when it comes to all the people that died from murders of handguns, from guns itself, handguns were by far the most people were killed by handguns, not by assault rifles, right? So handguns, people was at almost 60%, over 59% of the handgun murders of the murders by firearms were handguns, not assault rifles. Okay? And the category that includes guns referred as assault rifles, right? So what percentage? So if 59% are handguns, then how much of the deaths in the U.S. are done by assault weapons, right? And that's only 3%. So you have to think about this carefully. We just had these like mass shootings happening, and President Biden urged the Congress to act quickly on banning assault weapons, right? But assault weapons is only 3%. So it's kind of weird how, when you look at the statistics, the assault rifles are not the main things. It's only 3% of the killings, right? Mass shootings is only 513 out of like 20,000 people who get murdered. It's only 513. So when you kind of look at the context of it, that's what we have to do. We have to look at the context of this gun violence and understand clearly what we need to be praying for. Right? And it's something where it's in the Constitution of America. It's American Constitution. To overturn the Second Amendment is very, very, very difficult. So it is something that we do have to look at and understand in a very clear way so we can pray about it properly too when it comes to gun violence. All right? Second news is we're going to go to the Ukraine-Russia situation when we're talking about Germany. Germany finally confirms it will provide Ukraine with Leopard 2 tanks, and after weeks of reluctance, Germany has agreed to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine in what Kyiv hopes will be a game changer on the battlefield. Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced the decision to send 14 tanks and allow other countries to send theirs too at a cabinet meeting on Wednesday. U.S. President Joe Biden's administration is also expected to announce plans to send at least 30 M1 Abrams tanks. A Kremlin spokesperson earlier said the tanks would burn like all the rest. Right? And Dmitry Peskov said that there was an overestimation of the potential the tanks would bring to the Ukrainian army and called the move a failed plan. But Ukrainian officials insist they are urgently in need of heavier weapons and say sufficient battle tanks could help Kyiv's forces seize back territory from the Russians. A German government spokesperson said the decision to supply the tanks follows our well-known line of supporting Ukraine to the best of our ability. And Germany also permitted other countries to send their Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine, which was restricted until now under export regulations. So that is now official that that's going to happen too. Last but not least, we'll go to India and Pakistan. And this is something that very, very shocking because this is news of February 2019, which is very, very interesting. And India and Pakistan came close to a nuclear war, or And former U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has said in his new memoir. So this happened after Delhi launched strikes against militants in Pakistani territory following an attack on Indian troops in Kashmir. So this is from 2019. Pakistan had then said it had shot down 2 Indian military jets and captured a fighter pilot. India and Pakistan claim all of Kashmir but control only parts of it. And India has long accused Pakistan of backing separatist militants in the Kashmir Valley, a charge Islamabad denies. Now, the nuclear-armed neighbors have fought 3 wars since independence from Britain and partition in 1947. All but one were over Kashmir. Now, there's the memoir from Mike Pompeo is called Never Give an Inch, Fighting for the America I Love. Pompeo says he does not think the world properly knows just how close the India-Pakistan rivalry came to spilling over into a nuclear conflagration in February 2019. Said the truth is, I don't know precisely the answer either. I just know it was too close. Pompeo says he will never forget the night he was in Hanoi at a summit negotiating with the North Koreans on nuclear weapons when India and Pakistan started threatening each other in connection with the decades-long dispute over the northern border region of Kashmir. After the attack on Indian troops that killed more than 40 soldiers and an Islamist terrorist attack, probably enabled in part by Pakistan's lax counter-terrorist policies, according to Mr. Pompeo, India had responded with airstrikes inside Pakistan. The Pakistanis shot down a plane in a subsequent dogfight and kept the Indian pilot prisoner. Pompeo said he was awakened in Hanoi to speak with an Indian counterpart who is unnamed. He believed the Pakistanis had begun to prepare their nuclear weapons for a strike. India, he informed me, was contemplating its own escalation, and I asked him to do nothing and give us a minute to sort things out. And Pompeo writes he began to work with the National Security Advisor, John Bolton, who was with him in the tiny secure communications facility in the hotel. And they reached out to Pakistan's then army chief, with whom He engaged many times and told them what the Indians have told me, and he said it wasn't true, thank God, as one might expect, and he believed the Indians were preparing their nuclear weapons for deployment, and it took a few hours and remarkably good work by the team on the ground in New Delhi and Islamabad to convince each other that the other was not preparing for nuclear war. And it was, if you think about it, the 2019 attack on Indian soldiers was claimed by a group based in Pakistan, right? And the aerial attacks across the line of control, dividing Indian Pakistani territory, were the first war since 1971. But it's very interesting to hear what was going on behind the scenes. Because if you don't know what's going on, we just think that life was just normal as it was. But when you listen to some of these memoirs of things that happened in the past, it's pretty shocking and scary. And when you hear about how much Sunstein prays for these things, you realize, wow, so much war was averted. All right. So there it is, guys. That is the top 3 news around the world. Hope it's something that really helped you guys to understand what is going on. And it's good to hear all the other things that have happened too. Okay. So that's the end of the top 3 news around the world. Let's get into some sporting news. So let's start off with some soccer news. Spain is going to meet Italy in the UEFA Nations League semifinals and Netherlands to face Croatia. World Cup bronze medalist Croatia were drawn against host the Netherlands in the Nations League semifinals in June, while Italy and Spain will reprise their rivalry in the competition in the other game. The 4 countries were winners of their respective League A groups last year and will compete in the mini tournament this summer to decide the 2022-23 title. Also, Kylian Mbappe of PSG wants to sign Man City's Bernardo Silva. PSG star Kylian Mbappe wants Man City's Bernardo Silva to come join him at the Parc des Princes at the end of the season, the Sun reports. Man United on verge of a Carabao Cup final after 3-0 win over Nottingham Forest. They moved to within touching distance of a place in the Carabao Cup final after beating Nottingham Forest 3-0 at the City Ground on Wednesday of their first leg. So the second game, as long as they don't lose by more than 3 goals, they should be fine. In NBA news, Clippers stave off scary LeBron James takeover and marvel at latest feat. LeBron James scored 13 points and threw down 2 thunderous dunks in the span of 4+ minutes to cut a 21-point Clippers lead down to 10 in the fourth quarter Tuesday night. This, though, was something the Clippers had not seen from the Lakers superstar until Tuesday night. But LeBron James added another historic feat, which is ridiculous. He scored 46 points that night, right? They lost 133-115, but he scored 46 points to the Clippers, and now he's the first player ever in NBA history to score 40 points against every single team in the league, which is nuts. Which means, the reason he's able to do this is because he did it in Cleveland, and then he switched. He went to the Lakers and he scored 40 on Cleveland so he could score on his former team. And then now he did it for the final team of the Clippers. And that is a ridiculous feat. It's unheard of, right? So that is news for that. And then Matt Ishbia's purchase of the Phoenix Suns and the Mercury to be official soon. The billionaire mortgage lender Matt Ishbia's purchase of a majority stake in the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury at a $4 billion valuation is expected to become official in the next 2 weeks, with Ishbia assuming control before the February 9th NBA trade deadline, team and league sources told ESPN. Last but not least, we're going to tennis, Australian Open. Tommy Paul, American. He wins the All-American quarterfinal and faces Djokovic next. The 25-year-old was a star in the juniors and now is making good on the promise in the pros. And he defeats Ben Shelton, another American, to reach his first Grand Slam semifinal in his 14th appearance at a major. And, of course, 21-time Grand Slam singles champion Novak Djokovic, who overwhelmed number 5 seed Andrei Rublev in 3 straight sets. After dealing with a worrisome left hamstring in his first 2 matches, Djokovic has been on quite a roll, and he has won his past 11 sets and dropped a total of 27 games in that span as he chases a 10th championship in Melbourne, which would tie him, if he wins, he'll tie Nadal, right, for most Grand Slams ever in history. All right, so there it is, guys. That is the top 3 news in sports, and of course, more importantly, top 3 news around the world. Hope it's something that you guys can look at and understand what we need to pray for in the future. But now that this time is over, you know what that means. It is the golden time. Yes, it is the golden time, a time of praise and worship to the Holy Trinity. Hope all of you guys are looking forward to giving glory to God and the Holy Spirit. So, what are we going to praise and worship today? We're going to start off with My Confession to the Lord, oldie but a goodie, and then Tremendous Grace, and we'll end things off with The Path of Love. So as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
I recall when I first met you, my Lord, how I made up my mind, how I decided I would learn from you only, focusing on this word alone. I have seen how you really live your life. I have seen for myself. Now I will not be shaken, whatever comes. I have seen you, Lord, so how could I share? I will serve you, Lord, you who are the King of 10,000 kings. And I'll love you, Lord, forever is my bridegroom. I'll love you more. You've become my everything. I've given all my life to you. Please use me according to your way. When I saw the Almighty shine through you, I got down on my knees. Surely the Trinity are working through you. I confess to you through these burning tears. I will serve you, Lord, you who are the King of 10,000 kings. And I'll love you, Lord, forever is my bridegroom. I'll love you more. You've become my everything. I've given all my life to you. Please use me according to your will. Everything, the work you've done, the word you breathe, I can testify that all these things are true. I preach with the Spirit of truth. I will serve you, Lord, you who are the King of 10,000 kings. And I'll love you, Lord, forever is my bridegroom. I'll love you more. You've become my everything. I've given all my life to you. Please use me according to your will. I will serve you, Lord, you who God's great blessing, the Lord's word paved the way that led us here. Truly, we give thanks. And as we walk the path of God's will, He let us live within His word here. There is no greater blessing, there is no greater grace in my life. We sincerely confess, truly acknowledge to the core that there's no greater grace in this whole world. We sincerely offer thanks and we pour out this heart of love to the Lord who gives tremendous grace. We're on the path of God's immense grace. We're on the path of God's great blessing. The Lord's word paved the way that led us here. Truly, we give thanks. And as we walk the path of God's will, He let us live within His word here. There is no greater blessing, there is no greater grace in my life. We sincerely confess, truly acknowledge to the core that there's no greater grace in this whole world. We sincerely offer thanks and we pour out this heart of love to the Lord who gives tremendous grace. You sent us the Lord because you love us all. You've met us and you've raised us with the word of Christ. We have fulfilled the will of love now. We are indebted, God, to your tremendous grace. We sincerely confess, truly acknowledge to the core that there's no greater grace in this whole world. We sincerely offer thanks and we pour out this heart of love to the Lord who gives tremendous grace. We sincerely confess, truly acknowledge to the core that there's no greater grace in this whole world. We sincerely offer thanks and we pour out this heart of love to the Lord who gives tremendous grace. We sincerely confess, truly acknowledge to the core that there's no greater grace in this whole world. We sincerely offer thanks and we pour out this heart of love to the Lord who gives tremendous grace. To the Lord who gives tremendous grace.
you've come as well. And today we become one with God, one with the Spirit. We unite on this path of love. We must walk now and for all eternity. This path will never change. Hear the word flows without end. Proudly we go on, always for providence. Now and always hope will shine brighter than the sun. This eternal love and hope forever shines bright. Finally, this love of ours fulfilled God's will at last. The Lord our God's promises will not fail, they will stand without change, now and for all eternity. Finally, this love of ours fulfilled God's will at last. The Lord our God's promises will not fail, they will stand without change, now and for all eternity. Since I have come, you've come as well. And today we become one with God, one with the Spirit. We unite on this path of love. We must walk now and for all
And that was The Path of Love. What a great song. Before that, Tremendous Grace and My Confession to the Lord. And it's like, yeah, it was kind of a more relaxing, slow set today for today's time of praise and worship. And I hope you guys really, really enjoyed that too. And for myself, now that our hearts are made ready through this time of praise and worship, let's get into today's Wednesday message word study. And of course, the head leader's doing an amazing job with going over the Sunday messages and giving a message that is perfect or right for their church's current situation too. And that's something that I really want to talk about also is the current situation, how we need to deal with what is going on. And I talked a little bit about it yesterday when it comes to how to deal with like slanders, accusations, stuff like that too, how to have the right frame of mind so we can discern properly and not freak out. You know what I mean? And when I look at the messages, especially being given lately by, and by the way, this Wednesday message, I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts, right? My thoughts on the messages and what is going on. And I'm hoping that all of us here, we're going to really be able to call on God even more. Like, we really got to call on God, especially during this time. And, a lot of people are asking me like, well, in 1999, when I talked about it on Monday, 1999 was a time where it was prophesied that it's going to be a very, very difficult year. This is going to happen here. This is going to happen there. And I was kind of shocked that people were so affected by what happened in 1999 when it was prophesied. Like, it was prophesied to be a very difficult year, and slander and persecution was going to happen. So it was prophesied, right? So it's not something that was like out of nowhere. So, we should have been ready for that, but there were still people who were affected by it. And I was saying the exact same thing for 2023 is, we're going to expect like this spiritual Armageddon, right? And someone was asking me well, in the Time Times Half a Time lecture, it doesn't actually say that 2023 is going to be a very, very difficult time. Like, the one that we know for sure is when we go through Time Times and Half a Times is 1999 to 2002 was supposed to be the grave period, right? So we know that was a difficult time, but how can we be sure that there's a verse or anything else that tells us that 2023 is going to be very difficult? And you'll actually find it in the Time Times and Half Times lecture in Daniel chapter 12, verse 12, right? And this is where the 1335 or 2023 comes out. And the way it is said is, blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1335. Right? So what is it insinuating here when you says, those you have to wait for and reach the end of the 1335, which means that time is not going to be easy. You have to be able to reach the end of it in order for you to be blessed. How can you be blessed? Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end, right? And waiting, you're pushing yourself, you're holding on until that time comes. And that's why even when you look at other parts of the Bible, it does refer to this end times that we're living in right now. So when you look at, where would I find this verse? Blessed is the one that reaches till the faith, stand firm until the... Where is this? In Matthew chapter 24, when it talks about the end times, where is that? Verse 13 says, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved, right? So what we do know is it's not going to be easy. And what's another way to prove this? Is not just through the scriptures we're reading. And some people might say to me, oh, Pastor Sky, I think you're just reading too much into it because you believe that it's going to be difficult. You're just saying stand firm to the end means it's going to be difficult. But another thing that we have to understand is another principle in the Bible comes from the principle of repeating history. So what Sunset keeps telling us is look at the mirror history of Jesus' life too. When the Messiah came, when did it ever get easy? Right? It never got easy. The whole life of Jesus was difficult until the end, until what happened? Until he died on the cross. He suffered the worst death on the cross, right? And then we're going to be like, and then the most happiest time is the resurrection to prove that Jesus is the Christ. He resurrected from the dead. But then what happened after the resurrection? Still more persecution. It was still hard. They had to do it until the end. Until the end means what? Not only just your personal life. You're going to go through difficulties in your personal life until the end. Life is not going to ever get easy, right? We're going to go through ups and downs all the time. Secondly, on top of that, right, those who make it until the end will be saved, right? That's true. But when you look at even Jesus' life, like an extra 300 years, the disciples were going through persecution, 4 massive times of persecution where the entire country was against them, right? And what I'm going to tell you right now is, right, the one thing that I want to tell everyone right now is you can't look at this history in such a physical way. That's the one thing that I don't think that we can really, really look at it. I want you to start looking at it, mirroring it from the time of Jesus, right? From the time of Jesus, right? The people who looked at Jesus in a physical way, like John the Baptist. What did he do? Was it Matthew chapter 11? Okay, and in Matthew chapter 11, this is where it's talking about John the Baptist being becoming too physical. right? And he asked Jesus, are you really the Messiah or not, right? And Jesus in verse 6 says, blessed is anyone who does not stumble on account of me, the human being me, right? And we have to understand is the person, the Messiah, Jesus Christ himself, right? People are stumbling because they see him physically, right? So imagine someone accuses someone accuses Jesus, oh, what's he doing with the prostitute Mary? What's he doing with all these girls inside their house? Oh, he must be doing like these bad things, right? But Jesus is like, because you're looking at me as a human being, right? Just the human aspect. Yes, he's going to make mistakes, little small things here and there, but he's not going to make the huge ones, right? So when we look at Jesus, someone said, oh, guess what? I think the rumors came out that that Jesus is doing it like this and Jesus is doing it like that. But when you realize, Jesus is like, no, blessed is the one who doesn't fall away on account of me, looking at me in a human way. You can't look at Jesus in a human way anymore because he reached the time of training. He reached that point. This is no longer a human thing. This is God's history. God chooses the Messiah. He chose Jesus Christ because he was the one that was ready and absolute and loved God more than anyone else, right? That is absolute. And that's why we'll never look at Jesus in a human way, right? Blessed is the one that does not fall away on account of me. And we have to understand that very, very clearly. This is not a human history. This is God's history. And can you imagine how hard it was when Jesus was convicted, how hard it was when Jesus had constant people accusing him and saying all these different things about him? When you really, really begin to understand this, it's not about, hey, let's wait for the truth to come out. No, this is about faith. God's history is about faith, right? That's what it's about. It's about faith. When we come to real, true religion, faith, right? So many different things can come out about Jesus. So many different things where people say that, oh, is God really real? Science will come out with this, science will come out with that. But the people who have faith realize, no, it'll turn out well in the end. No matter what, these people say. Why? Because it's no longer human history, it is God's history. It's God's history. I can't imagine what rumors, I can't imagine what accusations and things that came out at the time of Jesus. But it's the people who do not fall away on account of the human aspect, right? Remember, Jesus the Messiah is completely different than is completely different than a Noah, completely different than a Moses, completely different than an Abraham. The central figures, the prophets of the time, remember that, the level of central figures starts off at Messiah, goes to apostle, and then to prophets. Right? Prophets and judges and then kings. You know what I mean? Prophets and judges are not at that level, right? And that's why we can't think of it in the same time. But if we start to think that way, right, the human, blessed are those who fall away on account of me, we become like John the Baptist, thinking, oh, but it's possible Jesus can make a mistake, but Jesus could do that. Let's get to the truth about Jesus. And we have to think about this very, very carefully, right? We really do. The moment we become physical, the moment we start thinking in a very, very physical way, right, is the time that we're going to be thinking to ourselves is, oh my gosh, maybe it's right. Maybe Jesus did do that. What we need to understand clearly is 2,000 years later, every person that doubted Jesus, 2,000 years later, probably even 400 years later, every person that doubted Jesus, they're rolling in their graves for doubting. They're rolling for not having that faith. And we have to look at this. Remember, we're looking at strictly as the faith that this is absolutely God's history, that we are in God's history right now, that Jesus Christ is the Messiah and the Lord. And if you go into the faith, say if we go into the former faith, how many people would ever even doubt or consider Jesus as Messiah? Or if people were talking, when Da Vinci Code came out, there was an uproar. Like, oh my gosh, how dare you say this about Jesus? How dare you say this about Jesus, right? There's an uproar. No one even considered it because of faith. It's about God's history, not about the human part, not about the human there. It's God's history. I'll tell you right now, we have to be those, right, that when we see Jesus as Lord, right, when we understand this history right now, we have to look at it in the exact same way, exactly the same, right? And we have to get ourselves to understand This history is the history of God, and you have to be so absolute about this. No matter what you hear, nothing is confirmed, right? A lot of times people will say certain things, but it's just pure speculation or purely doubt in their hearts or their thoughts. Is everything what it seems like it is? No. Right? No one knows. Just like when we looked at the current news about Pakistan and India, no one had any clue how close it was. But we find out 4 years later, this is how close they were to start arming their nuclear weapons. That's how close it was, right? And that's something we really need to understand, is understanding it from the background. What is happening in the back, right? And that is something what we really have to get ourselves to think about much more clearly too. Okay, so I'm really grateful and thankful. Like for me, that's just one thing I want everyone to keep in mind. Don't think of this as a human history. This is God's history, right? God's history, the one that God has sent, right? Look what Jesus Christ has done over the last 2,000 years. So many people doubted. So many people believed in rumors or accusations. All those different things. So many people. But in the end, God proves what is true and what is right. God doesn't choose people for no reason. God doesn't train people for no reason. And we need to be those that are so strong to the point where we're going to be like, yeah, sure. Let people say what they want. Let them say what they want, right? I'm not going to say I'm not going to empathize. I'm not going to say that, oh, you guys are a bunch of idiots. No, why would I say that? There's no point in that. We've got to love each other, right? But my faith is my faith. Other people's faith is their faith. Let people think what they want. I'll think what I want, right? And it's not about, hey, but you need to find the truth. No, what we as people in this history, like any other faith in the world, is, hey, this is the faith that I know. I've come to have faith in this history because of it's absolute, and that's it. That's my faith. I understand the other person's situation, what they're going through, but this is just my faith. You're not going to tell me how to live my faith or make me doubt my faith, right? And that's how strong we should all become. You got to be strong. You got to be fervent, relentless, right? And just like no matter how crazy and how bad things might seem, like look at the time of Jesus, how bad it really was. That Peter denied Christ 3 times as he was on trial because it was so embarrassing. And he's like, oh my gosh, is this really true? Was Jesus really the Christ? Or is this really going to happen? But in the end, you find it so absolute, and that Peter himself was so embarrassed later, right? That he denied Christ 3 times, that he would have any doubt. And I hope that all of us here too will have that same fervency in our hearts too, all right? So that is something I hope that all of us really, really understand more deeply, and that will be something that we'll keep in our hearts. This is God's history, and this is about our faith. And I hope our faith will be something that will really take us to that next level, all right? So that is, it's a short word study, but it's something I hope that a lot of you guys gain something from and realize, yeah, this time's going to be hard. Let's reach till the end, but we can do it. Call on God all the time, and we're going to make it through. All right, so there it is, guys. That is the word study for for this week's Wednesday message. Hope you guys really, really enjoyed that, which leads us into the time of GGG. Right, we do have a brand new GG. I'm really excited about this. Day 27 GGG. Rapture Collective, they sent me this excerpt song called Burning Life. The music video is on YouTube. It'll be out already. So go ahead, check on the Rapture Collective YouTube channel. You're going to see the music video for this. It's a song that they made during January for the first ever concert done by Rapture Collective, hip-hop praise concert at Melbourne Church last Sunday. I want to see that video. They did an actual concert. The theme, Burning Life, captures the intent to inspire everyone to take action and shine brightly in deeds and thoughts, despite what things may come in 2023, all right? So this is GGG today. This is Burning Life from Rapture Collective.
2023. We've all come a long way. Many different stories, but we're all on the same journey. Many, many ups and downs, but we're all still around. Many, many, many lessons, but each one came with a blessing. Let's not forget for when we come from when we make this confession. Some people just want to watch the world burn. As for you and I, let's set ourselves on fire, shine a light so bright that will make the people say, burning life, burning life. Look at the flames in my eyes, watch it burn, but don't stare too long, you might lose your sight. Some people gunning for our downfall, but they'll never see our demise. Burning life, burning life. Who's the one? I'm the one, he's the one. Are you the one? No, we're the ones who keep the fire going till the day we die, till they see the light, make it bright, till we hear the people say, shish, shish.
And what an awesome song. That is Burning Life. It makes, during the song, you're like, shish, shish, shish. I'm not even sure what he's saying. Is it shish, sheesh? Like, what is it? But yeah, I hope that all of us will have that burning life for 2023. No matter what happens, no matter what may come, let us be those that make it through until the end. So thank you so much, Rapture Collective. That was Julius Miyomo, Burning Life. I can't wait to see their concert. Maybe I'll even put their concert onto the website here so that they can, so that people can watch that concert also. All right. So there it is, guys. That is the GGG Day 27. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. Yes, on this Friday. I think we'll have one more GGG left on Monday. I think so. We'll have one more left on Monday because 28th, 29th, 30th. Oh, we're going to have two more GGGs for the month of January, all right? So now that we have that GGG done, let's get into the final segment for today. And of course, we're having a wonderful job by Daniel Baker over there in Korea. And everyone, please welcome Daniel, doing some amazing production now, getting that mic all ready and done. Please welcome him for Until the End Mental Health Podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Do It Until the End podcast. Now, before we start the segment, I want to ask you guys a quick question. How is everyone doing in 2023? It's already been a month, and I want to ask, how is 2023 going for you? Now, to everyone who's listening, I want everyone to comment how 2023 is going, because I would love to hear you guys' experiences and how you guys are doing mentally. Now today, I want to talk about something that has been bothering me for quite some time. Recently, after I've started this new mission, I've been having some massive brain fog. I mean, some massive, like waves of brain fog. Like it would go for 2-3 days. Now, I've been wondering why this is the case. Why am I having brain fog? I've been wondering and really thinking, but when I am thinking about this, my responsibilities have pretty much doubled. This is what I realized, right? Which means that I'm processing twice as much information that I have been doing in the past. Now, I am not the best at organization, but I tried to do my research on how to organize your thoughts. I'm processing twice as much information, right? But my habits, how much media I am taking in every day, those things have not changed that much. So right now, I'm going to talk about how to reduce your stress through organization and improve clarity in your life. Now, this might be an issue you are going through right now. And then this right now is perfect for you, right? But even if you are not experiencing this right now, there's going to be times when you're going to need clarity in your life because either your brain can't process the total amount of information or you're just having too much brain fog. Now, let's get into the two things that really help. Now, the first thing that really helps is to use a calendar to organize the important dates in your life. One of the biggest fears that I am having right now, because my job or my mission is that I'm going to miss an important day or some important event. Now, this is just because I'm not an organized person. I forget a lot of times. And if there's some kind of responsibility or meeting you have to attend, write it down in a calendar. Now, it is very important to have a large calendar and write down everything very clearly. Make it look good. Make it look professional. And try to not cross out or make a mess. But if you need to cross out things, make it look professional. Make it look someone who had a design, who had a degree in design, made that cross out. So why make it look professional, and why organize it in that way? Now, there's a psychological aspect to this concept. So when you're in your room, right, your surroundings, your actions, if your room, your surroundings and actions are sloppy and not organized, ultimately your mind is also sloppy and unorganized too. So writing down the things you need to do in a week is very useful in remembering the dates and in preparing for your meetings and the other things you need to do. The thing we need to really put into action is to make habits that help us organized and help our mind become organized. So this is one of the best things I've implemented when I started this mission. I just became too insecure about do I have something to do very important today. So I just put it on a calendar, and whenever I am curious if I have something, I write it down. If I am if I have those spikes in anxiety where do I have something to do today, then I can just come to my calendar and become organized again. So the second thing that I really recommend to have more clarity in life, in your brain, is to do something called a media fast. Do a media fast. Now, one of the main reasons you are having brain fog or brain fatigue is because you're becoming more overstimulated because of instant gratification. Instant gratification is things like media. These are the things that give you high spikes of dopamine from watching videos or being on Instagram, scrolling down. In life there's a whole process of gaining information or gaining experiences. But when you watch media or experience media, then your body experiences those rewards without actually going through the experience. So that's why instant gratification, stuff like media, can really overstimulate your brain. So when you watch too much media, which includes things like sports, educational channels, and shows, your brain has to process that information, right? So a great way to put it is that your brain needs to process more and more information on top of your daily struggles, your experiences, and your schedule. You overworking your brain because you're watching media, and that's why you have brain fog. So when you watch media, you are overworking yourself, right? Because if you excessively watch media, then you have more things to process. Your brain has to process that information. Then, after you process that information, you have to process the things you go into daily life. And that's a lot of things to process. Your brain has a ceiling of what you need to process. So now the best thing you can do for your brain is to fast from all the content. Fast from watching too much media. Fast from media as a whole for a week. Try for a week and see how affected you are mentally. If you're addicted to watching media or experiencing media, then you will feel some withdrawing symptoms from doing a week of media fasting. I'm probably going to have some experiences with that in a week from now when I do media fasting. So what we went through today is how to overcome brain fog and brain fatigue. So the first way you could do that is using a calendar to organize the important dates of your life, organizing yourself mentally. Number 2 is to do a media fast. So the things you are doing when you're watching media is not that helpful for your brain, because it it just adds more things of the checklist of your brain to process. So it just puts on more things for your brain to process. So that's why when you wake up, you feel fatigued, because your brain has to process so much information from the past day. So I hope this really helped you guys in giving you a perspective on how to improve your brain, how fast your brain goes. So to everyone who are changing and improving themselves to become closer to the Lord, let's walk this path together. That's all I have for you today. Peace. Bye-bye.
And thank you so much, Daniel, for another wonderful episode of Until the End Mental Health Podcast. You're just doing a great job. Man, guys, he's just straight out of high school. Make sure you leave a comment, give him some encouragement, some praise. He's doing a wonderful job, and he's getting himself on track doing these every single week. So super thankful and happy for all that wonderful. Make sure you comment on the questions he gave too, all right? So there it is, guys. That is today's Friday podcast, the last podcast of the week. Hope you guys enjoy your January, and we'll see you guys on Monday on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm